Welcome to Alternate Hosts, a featured series within I See Dead Plants, light on scientific jargon and perfect for the casual listener. Join me and one of several alternate hosts as we talk about a wide variety of plant health topics. And so today I have as my alternate host.
My name is Maddle Henrickson. I'm an adjunct assistant professor at Iowa State University, and I also make educational content for Crop Protection Network.
Today's kind of a pioneer slot, so I'm going to say maybe we have two alternate hosts here, but
yeah,
Zach,
I was going to say, I'm not a regular host. I'm definitely an alternate currently.
Zach, we were also joined by Zach Schum.
My name is Zach Schum. I am the insect diagnostician in the ISU Plant and Insect Diagnostic Clinic, and I do insect identification for assisting with plant health diagnosis.
And he's going to be kind of our expert in this example. We're going to be talking about fireflies. So I think perhaps if you're listening, you've heard about fireflies in the news in one way or another, and we're going to kind of address that a little bit, but we're mainly going to focus on what are fireflies and what do we know about them. So I guess I'll kick it off by saying these two approached me, Zach and Maddle. They approached me and said, "Hey, have you heard about fireflies?" And I said, "What about fireflies?" And, you know, there's been a lot of news going around that either fireflies are booming in population or they're declining in population. Then coincidentally, a couple days after they approached me, my wife said, "Hey, did you hear fireflies are going extinct?" And I said, "Well, we must have a good topic here today." So, and if you're a longtime listener to I See Dead Plants, you might be thinking to yourself, fireflies don't have anything to do with plants. They're not pests of plants. They don't transmit diseases to plants. And to that, I would say, yeah, you're right. But they are parts of a greater ecosystem of insects. They predate on insects. And then they're also part of just the greater landscape. So they are affected by pesticides that we use, whether it's our garden, whether it's an agricultural field. So we're just going to be kind of weighing in from that standpoint. So with that, I'll kick this to Zach. What is a firefly? If you don't know,
well, we know it's not a fly.
Yeah, right.
And we know it's not a bug. It's not a lightning bug.
This happens in the insect world all the time, where you get something that's called a something fly or a something bug, and it's neither a bug nor a fly, and it's somewhere in between.
It just flies. It has to be a fly.
It has to be a fly, right? Yeah. So fireflies are a type of beetle. So in the insect world, like a lot of people just refer to all insects as bugs, but it's kind of like, you know, rectangles are not squares, but all squares are rectangles thing. So all bugs are insects, but not all insects are bugs. A bug is anything with a piercing and sucking mouth part, kind of like stink bugs that we talked about on the other podcast. But fireflies, lightning bugs, firefly beetles, whatever you call them, they're a type of beetle. So they have a holometabolous life cycle or complete metabolism or metamorphosis, where they have an egg stage and they have a larval stage. So there's a little stage of fireflies that are more worm-like or larvae-like you would see a caterpillar, for example. And then they have that pupal stage where they actually are going through that metamorphosis. So the adult looks completely different than the larval immature stage. So they're a type of beetle. They have a pupal stage, kind of like a butterfly or moth, kind of like bees and flies as well. But yeah, a beetle, not a bug, not a fly.
So here's a question for you. Is the larval stage of the firefly, does that also have like a bioluminescence component?
They can, yeah. So some species do. And fireflies are weird, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but there's a lot of different species of fireflies. Like if you ever go outside and you see flashing lights and you're like, oh, there's fireflies outside, you're probably seeing like one, maybe two, maybe an off chance a third species out there. But there are, over 2,000 species worldwide, and like some of them are not bioluminescent at all.
So I didn't know.
Yeah, like most of them likely are. I'm not a firefly expert specifically, so I don't know how many are not bioluminescent. But some of the larvae, are certainly bioluminescent as well. So they have like the chemicals just like the adults do and can light up. Yeah.
Yeah, so that bioluminescence, the lighting up of the rear end. Do you know much about that? I don't want to throw you under the bus here if if you can't give us the exact chemical explanation of what's going on there.
Without going like too in depth to like biochemistry, but
I'm not a chemist, so. And again, I'm not a firefly expert specifically. So, I mean, generally speaking, they have two chemical compounds that they produce, luciferin and luciferase, I think they are. Mm-hmm. And they can mix oxygen and ATP, which is just basically energy, together, and that forms a light flash.
That's really cool.
fireflies can choose the amount of oxygen that they're letting into that chemical reaction. So that's how they can like choose the pattern of that flash as well. So every species has their own flash pattern. Some of them are different, a little bit different colors. Some are more green, some are more yellow, orange, maybe a little reddish. So yeah, they're essentially just mixing those chemicals together, and then it produces what's really interesting, a cool light. So there's basically like no temperature to it. There's no heat that's produced with it. It's almost 100% efficient light, which is really interesting. Like humans have no capability of doing that in really any sense.
Not yet.
Not yet. I guess we got closer with LED, but
we're getting there. We're getting there.
But nowhere near 100% efficient.
We haven't
yet,
tapped
right?
into the firefly technology for our lighting needs.
Yeah, but quite fascinating though. Yeah.
So you mentioned there's a lot of different species all over the world, and you mentioned if let's say in the Midwest here, you looked outside, you might be seeing one of 3 maybe. I mean, in general, is there like a firefly for every type of habitat, or do they kind of, and again? Yeah,
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, fireflies can certainly be in many different habitat types, and I would venture to say that anywhere that has the key components of their life cycle, so, just like humans, like food, water, shelter, if you have those components, you can probably have fireflies. Fireflies are mostly in what like moist/damp habitats. So think like wetlands or ponds or areas with a lot of that moisture. So if you have that in any scenario, any type of habitat, you can probably have fireflies. Now, I could probably go on the internet and find like a desert species out there somewhere.
Right.
But
there's always
there's always
some sort of.
There's always an exception.
Yeah,
always an exception in the bug world or insect world. But yeah, generally speaking, like if you have moist habitats, wetland type stuff, fireflies could potentially live there for sure. They live on every continent, as far as I'm aware, besides Antarctica.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But that's kind of interesting because if you walk outside in Iowa right now, like the corn sweat just kind of like rolls over you. It's so humid. And that makes me wonder, like if like our canopies out in like soybean fields and corn fields, like if they're dense enough to like hold that humidity in and like really, I don't know, provide a habitat for fireflies, or is it more like standing water that they like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess to jump into that, so many adult firefly species don't feed, so they don't eat anything at all. Some of them certainly do, but the immature stage is the one that really requires the majority of the food for the life cycle of most, I would say, firefly species.
That's really interesting.
And they're feeding on things like snails and slugs and other soft-bodied things that are like on the ground and in the soil. So in that sense, like, you could probably call like, corn canopies like habitat for them, but probably only for the adult stage.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly only for the adult stage. But yeah, all the feeding is usually happening for most species, like on the ground while they're developing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, I guess. So those kinds of things.
So you mentioned the larval stage. Honestly, I had never thought about this until today during this conversation that, little fireflies weren't just popping out of the earth. What habitat are they inhabiting? Are they inside of plant tissue? Or are they just in the soil? Like, where are the larvae for the...
Primarily, they're going to be like under leaf litter. They could be in the soil a little bit, certainly, as well as the immature stage. But I mean, to go back, at some point when they do emerge, they are technically fireflies just emerging out of the ground as adults.
Yeah, that is true. That's true.
But I think for a lot of insects, like every single beetle that you've ever heard of or seen, it's like they have a larval stage that's a little worm-like thing. Or some of them don't look worm-like, but
they look like, I think like a firefly larva looks kind of like a ladybug larva. I mean, they're both beetles, right? So it looks like a little alligator thing kind of crawling around.
Yeah, they have like these really weird shield-like projections on them.
Really
they're really cool looking.
Are they also predatory? Or the larvae? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because they're feeding on like snails and slugs and such.
But like stuff like in leaf litter, ground cover kind of things. So I wonder if like cover crop fields would definitely have more, or would that like maybe favor them?
That would make sense. I mean, because anytime you increase the amount of litter, you're creating more moisture and habitat on the ground for their food sources.
Yeah, more like vertical space for them to like explore and stuff too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. So,
so you mentioned some adults don't eat, but if they do, what I've always understood, like since I was a kid, was that, and I want to know if this is wrong at this point.
I hope I know the answer. Yeah.
My dad was always telling me they're good. They eat mosquitoes. Is that the truth, or is it the truth? Is it a partial truth, or?
I'm going to say what I think, but it's probably incredibly wrong. But I was like, I think about like how clumsy a firefly is, and I can't foresee that being like a formidable predator, because like mosquitoes have the halteres, or like their little gyroscopes that make flies unique, that make them like be able to swivel and move away and stuff. And I just feel like, considering how clumsy a firefly is, I couldn't imagine them like being able to catch a mosquito.
Yeah, at least not easily. I mean, because they are going to be feeding on small-bodied insects and stuff. But yeah, mosquitoes seem too quick. And
I was going to say they're really like fast or something. But no, I was going to say maybe the larva, but like, no, that wouldn't make sense either.
Or maybe they'd use their lights to like disorient.
Well, so not to get into it too far ahead, but there are species of fireflies that mimic the light patterns of other species of fireflies.
Yes, I knew this. They're so savage.
Yeah, so they're like, I don't remember the names of them. It's like the genus, and the fireflies in the genus Photurus. They like mimic the flash pattern of Photinus, the genus Photinus fireflies. So they'll like lure the Photinus individuals over to them, being like, oh, look, it's someone to mate with. And then they'll just eat them instead.
Yeah.
So there's some crazy stuff going on in the firefly world. So they do predate. Many species predate on other insects. But yeah, mosquitoes, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I haven't looked into it enough.
I don't know. That is literally my hypothesis based on what I know about the clumsiness of beetles.
They just like float and they just kind of just float about the landscape and try their best to get to where they're going.
Perhaps that was like just his way of trying to convince me to release the ones that I had put in a jar.
Maybe, yeah. They're like, this pickle jar will kill them. Please. Don't want to clean up dead firefly tomorrow.
So I mean, okay, at this point, we've heard a few things in the news, right? We've heard, like I said, I've heard that we've never seen so many fireflies, and I've also heard, man, fireflies are in trouble.
We're the last generation to see fireflies.
So like I said, we're not here to answer that question. There's somebody out there that's probably doing research on fireflies that, whether they know the answer or not, they're more informed than us. But based on what you know about fireflies, what's going on in the world with fireflies? It
was kind of a weird year, because we saw those reports of like, oh, we might be the last generation to see fireflies, and I read that in like I guess somewhat biased opinion. I'm like, that's like not true. Like, let's put a giant asterisk on that. But at the same rate, habitat loss is the number one cause of species loss and biodiversity loss, and that is a global experience, right? Like, we know that we're losing habitat for pretty much everything globally. So, numbers are definitely declining, but as I was, right after this happened, I was driving, from Des Moines up north on the interstate, and I was looking off to the side. It was, dusk. I was like, I've never seen this many fireflies since I was like a kid living in Maryland, where there just was generally more than any other place I'd been to growing up. So I was like, well, that's a little bit funny that, we're getting these reports, the last generation. It's probably the biggest year Iowa's had for fireflies in a while, at least since I've been here. But, generally species are losing habitat, and that's going to result in a reduction in numbers and populations and in species over time. The problem with some of those reports of, the last generation to see fireflies is that we don't really have a lot of data on population numbers for all, 2,200 of those species. Right. It's like a handful of them that we have really good data on. And certainly some of those are endangered or critically endangered, but we just don't have the data to suggest that all fireflies are, and definitely not all species of fireflies are experiencing, critical loss right now. But again, with that asterisk of like, everything's generally losing habitat over time. And that is something to be concerned about, but it's just fireflies going extinct is like, I don't know. It's a weird generalization to make, I think, in my opinion. Yeah.
Maddle had an interesting article pulled up the other day when I was in her office, and
so there's a paper from 2024 called Illuminating Patterns of Firefly Abundance Using Citizen Science Data and Machine Learning Models, which is really neat because they took like 6 years of citizen science data. And something that the paper kind of like mentions in the discussion that I think is really interesting is like, just depending on where you're at, you may see more or less. So like Zach mentioned, like in Iowa, we have these very large fields you can see for miles and miles, and the only thing obstructing you maybe is the horizon. And so if I'm like a citizen science person looking out my window all the way to the horizon and I see that many fireflies, I'm going to be like, whoa, I've never seen more fireflies in my life. But they had found that people in urban areas see fewer fireflies. And this could be like, obviously, urban areas have more light, so maybe it's messing with the fireflies. Maybe, you know, they have less habitat, like not as much leaf litter. These lawns are really manicured or what have you. But also a factor is like, well, if I'm in my little studio apartment and I look out into my small area and I maybe see 20, like my number is not going to seem as high as somebody who has access to like fields and fields and fields. Yeah. But it was a really neat paper because it mentioned how firefly abundance is much higher in like agricultural fields. And I'm not sure if that's just due to like the distance that people could observe fireflies, or if it had to do with agricultural fields being easier for fireflies to see far, or if maybe it's actually good habitat for them. I'm not entirely sure. And I think the paper also mentions that like, there's a lot of things that could be contributing to it. Like most bugs, fireflies are very temperature dependent. So if you think about it, like as the summer progresses, as it gets hotter, you'll see more, but then there's a critical cutoff period where there's fewer fireflies, and that could be due to things like moisture and things like that. So anyways, it was a really neat paper.
Yeah, suffice to say, I feel like something that I've gathered, I'm not an entomologist, and I've talked to a lot of entomologists, measuring insect population dynamics is it seems like a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
No?
Oh, for sure. And I've not really ever worked in that realm specifically or done research in that realm specifically. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it can be very regional too.
Yeah, yeah.
Even within the state of Iowa, you can pick any insect and like have pockets of high populations of whatever species XYZ. And then people on the other side of the same state are really, oh, I haven't been experiencing that this year. Like Japanese beetles, a really good one, where there's like really big pockets of this is the biggest year ever. And then someone else, you know, down the road is like, oh, I haven't seen any this year. And last year was really bad. And so it's really hard to measure and get, and we're talking like for one species, right? You spread this out into all the different species that are out there. It's like, there's not enough scientists or entomologists out there to take these measurements.
Yeah. And it was not small. Like it was a lot of data that was recorded over many years. So it was pretty neat.
I think this is one of those realms where citizen science is really important to the conservation efforts too. Because I mean, people are interested in fireflies. They're cool. They're interesting. And it's also perhaps a little bit easier for people to get involved because it's easy to see a flashing light in your backyard.
Yeah.
Whether we're not asking people to go out there with a net and like sweep their grass to find a tiny bug. It's like, this is something that people can really help with. And that information's been super useful to, conservation efforts and surveys for sure.
Random question, Zach, but here in Iowa, there's been, and not just in Iowa, but from my viewpoint here in Iowa, an insect that has been, whatever you want to say, hugely charismatic and a lot of people care about is the monarch butterfly.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And like to the point where, there's people at all levels of society. That's not the best way to put it, but like, you've got farmers doing things. You've got people in urban areas doing things to try and bolster or help, assist, whatever verb you want to use, fireflies, monarch butterflies. Do you anticipate, since fireflies are such a charismatic insect, people like doing stuff like they do for the monarch butterflies, like planting a certain kind of plant or leaving their leaf litter in their yard?
I've actually seen things that are like firefly habitat signs now. And I don't know if it's just because this year it got like really trendy due to all the posts and stuff, but like I saw somebody have like a firefly certified sign for their yard. And I'm like, well, I have no idea where you got that from, but that's neat. Like I didn't know something like that existed. So
Etsy. No, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, like, I'm not really sure if the fireflies really left a star rating or not on their yard. But I'd have to look into it more because I was driving my car. And so I wasn't going to like cut it over and be like, where did you get this sign?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Who certified your yard for firefly habitat? Yeah. But I've seen things out there of like now it's not just like, oh, this is monarch butterfly friendly. I see like now, like this is also firefly friendly. Yeah. And then I've seen more things. Sorry, I know this question was targeted.
No, it's okay. This isn't. I haven't seen those signs.
I've seen more things on like circulating on like social media of like, don't rake your leaves. don't do this, don't do that. Like, or the no mow May, which nobody does here, but everybody is mowing their lawn the second it gets warm. Yeah, but I've seen things like circulating around of like tips to, like maintain or create habitat for fireflies. So I've seen more of that now.
Yeah.
And I think like just this summer I've seen it.
I think there's definitely been more interest in like monarch butterflies in general, but I mean, yeah, to Maddle's point, like I definitely think the energy around general insect conservation and like beneficial insect conservation has been increasing over time.
Yeah.
I don't remember many times like during my, let's say, grade school life where, people were really investing energy into pollinator habitat and beneficial insect habitat and not raking your leaves until, very last minute. And that, I don't know, I think a lot of individuals are just more invested in those types of strategies these days. So I think it's a little bit easier to get involved in some of the monarch conservation stuff. It's like, oh, we can give you this seed pack and you can plant, native milkweed and help out directly in that way. You can't really, buy a seed pack or something to spread around your yard to directly benefit fireflies, So I don't know. I think the energy, not yet.
Okay, sorry, I just looked it up.
Oh, yeah.
Certified Firefly Habitat sign by Firefly Conservation and Research. I wonder how long this has been out there, or if they were like, quick, fireflies are trending. Make the sign.
You are like scientist skeptic brain, like gets a little tree. Like, I wonder what's going on here. There are a lot of organizations that are working on firefly conservation, just for the record.
Yes, sorry, I'm just being mean.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to your credit, it's like I think it's not as mainstream, right? So I've never heard of I've heard of organizations that work on firefly conservation, but the certification I've never heard of. Monarchs, on the other hand, it's like you can get, monarch certified yards, no problem. That's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is the hipster thing now. Monarchs are way too mainstream. You got to get on some other niche bug content to be cool, okay? What's the next thing going to be if it's not fireflies? Like monarchs, fireflies. What's our next like really charismatic, like very nostalgic bug?
I still think we got to get people less involved in like caring about honeybees and more involved in caring about native bees. Native pollinators. Not that honeybees don't have their place, okay? They do services for us. They provide a lot of assistance to humans in crop production, but like native bees are just cooler and in many cases better.
This is a whole other podcast.
We're going on a tangent.
No, because I as soon as you mentioned no mow May,
yeah, okay.
I was like, oh. But I was
no
like, no, don't do it.
The weed scientists are just like, oh.
All right, I'm reining it back in.
Sorry.
No. One other thing I wanted to throw out here is like, in reading listening to some of these news articles or listening, there's all kinds of stuff, podcasts, videos, news articles about fireflies. One of the things that I heard mentioned was pesticides. Pesticides are what's causing the downfall of fireflies. And again, we're not here to answer whether or not they are, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
It's probably number 2 on the list, second to habitat loss. I mean, on like the grand scheme of things, global firefly population. So yeah, I mean, pesticides, insecticides primarily, most likely, can cause direct death if it comes in contact with them. Things like neonicotinoids have been found to like damage their gut health and impact reproduction. If the insecticides are killing their food sources, or if there's runoff into ponds and streams and wetlands, and you're killing their food sources or directly killing them. Yeah, I mean, they're certainly being impacted by pesticides, and it's probably like the number 2, I would imagine, impact on declining populations. Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, not to like take it somewhere else. So then I think I saw some studies talking about like light from like urban things as well. And so I'm like, where would that rank on it too? Yeah. Because it's like, I guess people think that maybe lights are interfering with them, which could potentially be it. But I feel like maybe the habitat loss is a bit more intense than the light.
Yeah, I guess like I kind of loop a lot of that urbanization into habitat loss. Because
I guess, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, like light
it's just like hand in hand with light pollution, right? So.
Yeah, but I mean, that's true. You could probably separate that out, and that would certainly be a big factor, I would imagine, as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're urbanizing, then you're probably removing a lot of that reproduction habitat or food habitat.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
I guess I don't know how far out light pollution would affect them. Like,
that's a good question.
Between like the edge of a parking lot and the middle of a field. Like, I wonder at what point things are.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea on that one. Yeah. I wonder if anybody's looked into that. We got to get on it.
Get on the.
I definitely have a few articles that I bookmarked here for this conversation that I did not read them all in depth as I should have, because I thought, let's keep it short. We don't want to get too crazy into the weeds, but there were definitely people researching light pollution as it pertains to like reproductive success of different species of fireflies.
I guess that would make sense though, if like, I don't know, you need to be able to see light in order to find a mate, and then there are so many lights, it would probably get in the way of your ability to see a light.
Yeah,
makes sense
for sure. Yeah.
So, is there anything else that we didn't cover that we want to hit on about fireflies?
Oh, I don't know. Did we cover everything?
I was going to say, I'm looking at the list.
Dang, yeah. I don't know. They're cool.
They are really neat.
Just get out and enjoy them while they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think, it was just me driving. It was a client called me. I was like, oh, there's so many fireflies. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like driving on the highway and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many fireflies. So like I've had to go out and enjoy them this year because I haven't seen this many again since I was probably 10 years old. And, the fireflies are declining overall. So, who knows how often we'll get to see giant populations of fireflies anymore.
Yeah, I guess my final call out to people would be like, if you're listening to this, the whole point of this conversation is to, bring awareness to fireflies or whatever pest or pathogen we might be talking here on Alternate Hosts, and just make you aware of it.
Well, and I think like this kind of goes back to, so my foundation I was always interested in conservation ecology, and then I ended up working in mostly IPM, integrated pest management. So it's a little bit different there, but in the entomology world, we often say that like it's really hard to know how to save things when we don't even know anything about what we're trying to save. And fireflies are definitely in that realm where everybody generally loves them.
Yeah.
But, you can get those generalized reports like, oh, they're declining. But realistically speaking, we don't really know anything about fireflies on the grand scheme of things. Like there's so many species out there. And so we don't even know what we're losing yet. But we know that we probably are,
Yeah.
So, we can all put in a little bit of effort to conservation practices on our own properties, reduce pesticides, increase habitat, don't rake your leaves up until really late in the fall or early winter even. And, we can do our part, but it requires cooperation and large scale things that are just not seemingly impossible on a global scale, but we're trying our best.
Well,
I guess
with the huge base of listeners that I have.
Yeah.
Call to action.
We can add a little. No, I'm just kidding.
And then I have one last question for Zach.
Oh,
yeah. What are your opinions on fireflies' wish granting abilities?
Wish granting.
Wasn't that something like when you were a child?
Oh no.
What? Was it for you? No.
Oh wait. So okay, no, you're kind of like getting into my memory bank a little bit.
Yeah, because I was like, nostalgia for me is going out and catching fireflies, and I was told if you let a firefly go after catching it, it would give you make a wish.
I straight up was told that. I was told that. This is like...
It's like those things you don't really remember, but it's like, blowing on a dandelion, making a wish.
Yeah.
For me, remember that.
So like, it's interesting, like what cultures have, or like what regions have different things, because like wishing on a star or something.
Yeah.
But like for me, like the firefly was always like a wish thing.
I do vaguely remember that now that you say it.
This actually sounds like something that a parent would tell you so you don't bring them in the house.
And I would just do it anyway. Maybe that's why they stopped. They stopped telling me to make wishes because they knew I'd just bring them inside anyway. So
you're like, you can keep your wishes. I'm going to keep this bug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was told they eat mosquitoes, so put them back so they can eat the mosquitoes.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking these are all just things. Well, because... It's so funny how many things are made up like that, like where it's like your parent was probably like, I don't want this bug in my house. If you make a wish, or if you let it go, it'll give you a wish. And this just reminds me, this is not related to the podcast, but when I was a kid, I once pulled a chip out of a bag that was a russet potato cut long ways. Way.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Or I guess maybe it wasn't a russet because those aren't chipping potatoes, but it was the size of a russet. Okay. And I told my little sister that it was the wish chip. And I said, if you can fit this chip in your mouth without breaking it, you get a wish. And she grew up thinking that was a thing. She told all her friends. And so everybody in her grade believes the wish chip is a thing. And it's something I made up because I just wanted to see how ridiculous.
You should see if that's...
I just wanted to see if she could put it in her mouth because I was like, there's no way I could do this in one bite. And I was like, well, if you don't break it, you get a wish. There's no way. It was like the size of her head.
You should see if that's
the size of a sandwich.
You should see if that's on Reddit somewhere, like people talking
Does
about
anyone remember the wish chip? So I'm thinking like the Firefly thing has to do with this, where it's like somebody made it up just because they were like, this will get a child to do what I want.
Yeah.
No explanation needed. A wish is involved. Boom.
If you're the one that started that and you're listening.
Yeah, that started literally at I See Dead Plants. It was me. That's all we need to know. No other details, no context. Just it was me.
Yeah. Don't tell us your name or anything. Legendary. Legend.
Now it's documented.
Yeah,
I See Dead
we
Plants.
got all that recorded.
She can bring it up in therapy.
Write that down.
I'm shutting it down. Folks, thanks for checking out this new offshoot of I See Dead Plants, alternate hosts. Keep an eye out, keep an ear out rather in the future. We'll be picking up random topics either that we hear in the news or that we think might be a pest or pathogen that you might be interested in and doing kind of a short, shallow dive to educate you on it. So with that, thank you, Maddle. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Folks, for listening. Thank you. Keep listening. Alternate Hosts is brought to you by the Crop Protection Network and the North Central Integrated Pest Management Center, which are both partially supported by the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture. For more information on today's topic, check out the show notes or cropprotectionnetwork.org or ncipmc.org. Remember, this information is for entertainment purposes only. Statements made in this podcast should be interpreted within the limited context of particular topics being discussed. Contact your state extension program for local information. For the full non-discrimination statement or for accommodation inquiries, go to the cropprotectionnetwork.org/about. Thank you for listening to Alternate Hosts.